Let's begin. How do we start? So something to do with Shiva and Shakti. Like, do you think that they are separate or they are one? Um, like people have a lot of misconception about Shiva and Shakti being two different entities, but
Hmm.
it's like a flame cannot be separated from its ability to burn, right? So that is Shiva and
Hmm.
Shakti.
Hmm.
So what is your definition? How do you see Shiva and Shakti? Um, in the spirit from a spiritual perspective, and not from the from the scriptures.
No, so not from the scriptures.
Not from the scriptures. You can let's do this that we speak more from our experiences.
Okay.
How have you experienced the awakening? How
Okay.
do you Shiva and Shakti? Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll stay away from the scriptures because there's a great Hanuman story about Shiva and Shakti in here somewhere, but I'll stay away from that. So,
Mhm.
so I, I, I had this sort of, from my totally personal experience, I had a very like sort of, intellectual,
Mhm.
philosophical kind of understanding of Shiva as a creative
Mhm.
force and also creation and destruction. That idea of destruction precedes creation. And so I would look at like, that idea of, I no, what is it? Nara, I'm not sure of the word, but like the idea of the dance of Shiva, this one form of Shiva, that's like the
Mhm.
dance of Shiva. And that's like that refers to the the world that we see around us. It's a way of understanding life and how things change and how, everything is transient, and destruction is followed by creation, and all of these
Mhm.
sorts of things. But then, and so in my experience, when
Mhm.
after I had practiced meditation for consistently for a good long while, and had this sort of experience of an awakening and a flaming to life of a new sort of capacity within. And I thought, okay,
Mhm.
so that is like Shakti. And so that, from that point of view, that
Mhm.
fire of Shakti,
Mhm.
it flames to life like these ideas that had just been ideas, right? So as long as something exists, I think just as a philosophical idea, that's all
Mhm.
good and everything, but then it's still kind of just subject to Maya, and there's not this sort of awakening that takes place. And it's like that Shakti sort of
Mhm.
it fuels that, it flames that, and it's like that's what's really
Mhm.
needed for a real creation within, for a new kind of birth that happens, um,
Mhm.
from within. What do you think?
So for me, I think I look at Shakti as my heart and Shiva as mind. So when they are syncing together at the heart is when I create a pure consciousness within me. So when you spoke about destruction, this is like a cycle. So so Shiva is creating Shiva is destroying everything which is negative to your true nature, to your potential, creating a non-duality in your true sense. And that transformation energy which is there, which is creating a newer form of energy is Devi. And the energy, the positive energy that we preserve within us is Narayan. So wisdom is Narayan. The pure consciousness is Mahadev, Shiva, and the transformation of the Shakti, which is the pranic force, which is pushing this particular um, energy or this negativity out from the system, and that entire process of recreating a newer form of energy into your system is Shakti. So yes, I agree with you when you say that she's like that. She's that flame within you. You know, she's that fire within you. To recreate something which is very specific to your true nature, to your true potential. So it's like a very simple process. You know, when I think of Shiva, I always think about the three guna that we have: the tamas guna, the rajasic guna, and the sattvic guna. So tamas guna is Mahadev, definitely. The rajasic guna is said to be Brahma, and the sattvic guna is said to be Narayan. So when I talk about the tamo guna, tamo means because Mahadev is the destroyer. He destroys everything which is negative in nature. At the same time, it accepts that negativity also within you. So, for example, if you are a person who has a lot of aggression, if you have a lot of anger issues, that is a tamoguna in you. But Mahadev will help you in transforming that aggression, that anger into something really constructive in nature. So using digression, you can become a dharma leader, for example, I'm saying. Okay, so Mahadev represents that guna in you that can be transformed into something which is very positive in nature. It destroys anything which is extreme and is becoming a hindrance in your growth. When I speak about the Brahma, that is the pure consciousness, which is balancing between Shiva and Narayan, this particular tattva is to create that balance where you are pursuing your materialism and your spirituality at the same time. Because being in the materialistic world, you also have some dharmas to accomplish, some karmas to do, you know, which you probably have desired in your previous many births, and also at the same time, spiritually grow. And the last and final stage is Narayan, the Krishna consciousness, which is the Bindu of the Sri Yantra, the main core of spirituality, wherein you realize that you are a cosmos within a cosmos, within a Brahman. So that spiritual consciousness of Krishna is the ultimate when you realize that you are actually not a body but a soul, and you're here to create that awareness within you where you're not bifurcating anything inside you. You are one, you are a whole, you are non-dual. Day and night makes a complete day, a complete cycle. So you cannot differentiate the night from the day. They cannot be separated. Your left hemisphere of the brain cannot be separated from the right hemisphere of the brain. So the left side of the brain is basically to detox all the negativities from your system, which is Mahadev. And the right side of the brain is to preserve everything which is the positive side of you, of your energy, that is Narayan. And the central portion, which is your pineal gland, the pure consciousness, is the Brahma. So when we talk about the central, the Sushumna Nadi, also at the same time, this is where all the information from the divinity is what you receive in your system. And that is processed within your body, within your organ, within your system. And that is being done by Shakti.
Now,
This
I
is
heard
my
that. I heard someone explain that what you're actually doing is like kind of like mixing things up inside. We're like mixing things up and
right,
coagulating it together. We're
right,
like rather than separating the higher from the lower and only loving, only loving that and discarding the lower, which we want to do. Like when I have remorse over things I've done in the past, like, oh, I did something stupid or I hurt someone. It's like we want to separate that part out, but really that has to be like mixed in and coagulated all together. So in one sense, that's the action of
right,
meditation is an action of like mixing together these
right,
influences within each
right,
other.
right.
And you mentioned when you mentioned the material, how like you focus on the material and the spiritual. Does that
Mhm.
connect with the idea of the householder that you see a lot of the saints talk about this, the of being a good householder?
Mm, it means that you probably have certain karmas which pending towards the materialistic world. Like, for example, um, you probably reincarnated to remove delusional people or to create an awareness amongst people. This could be one of your karmas. This could be one of your duties that you have taken birth. So you cannot leave this materialistic world at once. Probably you have that karmic cycle to accomplish. And once you do that, you will probably be able to move to the next level when you abandon this whole materialistic world and move more towards spirituality, more towards sadhutva, more towards sannyas. And that's when you would prefer to live in solitude, seclusion. Yes, it has a lot to do with the household work also, but at the same time, uh, it's your dharma towards the society. Okay, that is what I also mean by materialism over here. Like being in the world of Narayan, being in this world where you have to do your kartavya, your duties towards your fellow beings, and not just towards yourself, but also towards your fellow beings. That is what I mean by materialism. When you have finished that work, is when you can actually move a step ahead and move more towards vairag and solitude.
And is that part of dharma? What's meant by the term dharma?
Yes, absolutely, because you have a dharma towards yourself first. You have to accomplish your soul goals. That is your first dharma. And the second dharma is the responsibility towards others. If, say, for example, you have a certain soul contract with your family members, you will not be able to escape it, no matter how much you try, but you will not be able to escape it. So you have to do that dharma because that becomes your karam, that becomes your action. Okay, that becomes your activity towards that responsibility and the repercussions that you receive in return and the requirements that are needed to accomplish that particular dharma is your free will. So you have to follow this entire cycle of materialism before you move ahead or move out of materialism completely. You cannot escape materialism.
Right. I've definitely felt a draw as I move through life, and I'm 50,
Mm-hmm,
56 now, and um,
mm-hmm,
I've been very involved with life. Like for a long time, I was a musician and almost homeless, and I was on the road and stuff. And then I, got
mm-hmm,
married and bought a home and all this, and went through this
mm-hmm.
householder phase. And then as I move through life more and more, I find more of the magnetism towards that
Mm-hmm.
solitude, that hermitage to move towards there. But at the same time, I've
Right,
never been able to just say, oh, I'm just going to forget about the world and go seclude myself from be
right.
a renunciate, to just totally
Yes,
renounce.
exactly.
And
Yeah,
that's like
exactly.
not it might be different where you live, but in America and Texas, it's like renouncing is like not even really an option. I mean, there's not like ashrams on every street corner to where
Mm-hmm.
you would even have that ability. It's like you have
Right,
to go through this the materialism
right.
state, like you said. But at the same time, I think as I've become maybe more sensitive to
Mm-hmm,
what's
mm-hmm,
inside. Really, it was an internal focus that kind of awakened. I think these things. There's more of a sense, more of
mm-hmm.
a magnetism towards this, this
Right,
urge to solitude.
right, right, right. I think once you start reaching the end of your karmic cycle is when you start feeling like a hermit. And
Hmm.
that's when the feeling to renounce comes. So probably, you have moved. I mean, if you've accomplished 90% of your duty, somewhere 10% is probably holding you back. Okay, but then once you accomplish those 10% which is remaining, you will be able to renounce as well. Life will give you that opportunity. It will give you that option maybe much later, but yes, you will be able to. But till the time you're not able to, or till the time you are not finishing that karma, that karmic cycle of yours, you will not be able to renounce. So there is a saying in Kashmir Shaivism, or Kashmir Shaivism says that if Shiva is Satya, then how can his creation be mithya? So people who say that Maya is mithya is actually not a mithya, because Maya is a creation of Shiva. And your duties, your karma, your dharma, all are in that cycle of Maya itself. Once you renounce your dharma, and your karma moves and shifts towards your spirituality. So Shiva is as true as I think Maya is. They cannot be separated, because if Shiva is the creator, the Maya is the creation. So both go hand in hand. They're not separate from each other. And Shiva teaches you that. Shiva tells you that you should not create any sort of duality in your mind. There should not be any separateness in your mind. That's even Advait Vedanta teaches you. Niti Niti.
So this, so
So,
this, this brings up another question that I've had. So talking about chakras for a minute.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Um, there's a story about Shiva
mm-hmm,
that where like the gods got together and stirred up the ocean and created this poison, right? Which I
yeah.
think is somehow it's connected with the idea of
Samudra
Maya,
Manthan.
and
Samudra
and
Manthan.
Shiva swallows it and it goes into his
Right.
throat. So I
Right.
mean, when I was in a
Mm-hmm,
deep meditation a little while ago, and
mm-hmm,
trying to focus on the chakras, I had this incredible sensation in the throat chakra, which I hadn't really paid much attention to
mm-hmm,
before. I just
mm-hmm.
felt this real physical sensation. It was
Mm-hmm.
almost like someone had their hands around my throat. It's like so physical the
Right.
sensation was, and it made me start thinking about that. And then I read that story. I came across that story again about Shiva
Mm-hmm,
and this idea that the throat chakra.
mm-hmm.
It's like the throat chakra has to do with my ability to filter out negativity or something. So, yeah,
Absolutely.
right. So, what do you think
Yeah.
about that? What do you think about the throat chakra and Shiva?
Right. So the story that you spoke about, the Samudra Manthan, okay, is self-introspection. When you go in deep, okay, when you self-introspect, a lot of negativity comes out, and a lot of positivity also comes out at the same time. You're trying to understand your true self. So when the negativity comes out of your system, okay, when it is coming out, these are the demonic side of you, the shady side of you, the dark side of you. Okay, these are the demons. And the positives that come out are the godly side of you, the sattva guna. Now, when we talk about Shiva, taking in that venom, that poison in, it means definitely, yes, it is your ability to filter out. Here at the throat chakra, you're able to bifurcate good versus bad. It is the wisdom of you that actually decides if you will move towards the demonic side with the kind of power that you hold, or you would move towards the God side. Okay, people who have done sadhanas over the years, who have attained siddhis over the years, okay, either they choose ego and they move towards gaining more power to destroy and become more materialistic in nature, or there are certain people who choose to not go into materialism and choose the spiritual side, and they start guiding people. So when we talk about the throat chakra has immensely to do with Vak Siddhi. Vak Siddhi means what you speak becomes God's voice. And that can only happen when there is a filtration in your throat. That is, when you talk, your antarmana is active and it is directly communicating with the higher wisdom. That is your higher consciousness. You're receiving the knowledge directly from up above, and you're speaking through your throat by filtering all the negatives away and what is not the truth.
Hmm.
So this is what actually Shiva means. So Shiva here, Shiva's job starts from here where he filters. He starts filtering. He removes all the negatives. He drinks all the negatives. He takes all the negatives inside him. And he only leaves you with a pure truth. He leaves you with a pure voice. He leaves you with a pure understanding, pure consciousness. And he starts speaking through you.
Hmm.
Yeah. That's Vak
So
Shakti.
no, there's
Mm-hmm.
it also reminds me of in the teachings of the Desert Fathers, very early Christian monks. There's
Mm-hmm.
prayers. There's prayers
Mm-hmm.
to like asking to watch over my mouth so that I do not
Right,
utter, so I do not bring more evil into the world
right,
accidentally. And there's this realization that when I speak mechanically or thoughtlessly and just like let things flow out, I'm actually contributing more evil into the world. It's like, and this goes along with gossip and spreading lies
right,
and stuff like that. That even when I
correct,
have the best intentions, and I might think
yes,
myself a very good and pure being,
right,
to allow the mouth to just run mechanically allows more negativity to come into the world. And so there's this realization, a lot of it seems to like really line up with that idea that you're talking about with the throat
yes.
chakra and Shiva.
They say that you have Saraswati on your tongue. So once in a day, she's very active. So whatever you speak sometimes might just come true. So you have to be very, very watchful about what you talk. You have to be very careful because what you're thinking in intention plus your voice can actually manifest something in reality. So hence, you have to be extra cautious, and especially when you're growing spiritually, you have to be more cautious as comparatively to a normal person who has no understanding about spirituality. But a spiritual person has to be extremely careful, and hence spiritual people are always asked to bless and never to curse because it might actually have an adverse impact on the person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
again, you reach a point in your life when you're never neither blessing nor you're cursing. You become indifferent. You live in total non-duality because the other person's karma is not something that you want to attract in your life. You want to become null and void. You want to become empty. You want to reach that nothingness, right? And that's when you actually become Shiva. You're neither blessing, you're neither cursing. You are balanced. You're not sailing here, you're not sailing there, you're balanced.
Yeah, because it's almost as if I choose
Mm-hmm.
one side, then I identify, I become attached to that side. I get
Correct,
taken. I'm taken by
correct,
it, whether it's good
correct,
or evil or whatever. I'm taken
correct,
by it, and I'm no longer here. I'm no longer
correct,
present. Um,
correct.
and so I don't want to. I want to avoid. So this is something I think I heard Osho said is
Mm-hmm.
try not to believe things,
Mm-hmm.
but also don't disbelieve everything.
Right,
Just
right,
let it be there, and that's more what is meant by this idea of faith, right? To just
correct,
which takes me more to the heart, right?
right.
Whereas the brain is always duality. It's always yes, no, positive, negative,
Yes,
right?
yes,
But the
yes.
heart can kind of like just be here and transcend
Right,
that duality.
absolutely. Right, absolutely agreed. So when you reach that state of nothingness is when actually you think or you have become Shiva yourself. You've become a pure consciousness. So I think we are done with today's session, and I think we'll get back again, right?
Okay.
We're going to more on this. Let's talk more about Shivan Shakti, maybe on a different topic. Maybe speak around. Mm, the concept of Radha and Krishna and Shiva and Parvati being like in that twin flame situation. So we can probably have a discussion around that later
Okay, that
in our
sounds
next
good.
podcast.
Awesome.
See you then.
All
Yeah.
right, see you then. Have a pleasant evening.
You too. You too. Have a pleasant good morning.
Okay,
Take
thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.